Studying in this school must be a nightmare for all the boys. If they want to survive in this school, they must put on makeup every day and dress like a girl. This is a school where girls are king. All the girls can go to school with weapons, and they can teach those who are unwilling to submit to girls a hard lesson. After the male protagonist enters the school as a transfer student, he can't accept such a rule. He not only takes away the first kiss of the girl's leader, but also repeatedly enters the girl's dormitory to tease the girl's leader. Unable to tolerate such a scoundrel doing evil things in school, the girls decide to teach him a hard lesson. Will the male protagonist defeat these domineering girls? Let's see. The school, called the Private Aichi Academy, used to be a girls' academy, but later the school begins accepting boys. As some boys begin harassing their female classmates, the girls at the Private Aichi Academy decide to arm themselves, and the strongest 5 girls form an organization called the Supreme 5 Swords. They specialize in conquering boys by force and making them live like girls, since it has good effects. Many parents send their annoying children to the Private Aichi Academy to let the female students here educate them. Today is the first day of school after the male protagonist Fudo transferred here. A boy named Kusuo quickly reminds Fudo to put on makeup, and if he doesn't, he will be in trouble. However, Fudo doesn't take it seriously and walks toward the classroom. But he doesn't know that Rin, one of the Supreme 5 Swords, is waiting here. She knows that Fudo is reluctant to accept such a rule, so she decides to duel with him and makes him submit with her strength. Fudo immediately escapes from the classroom, but Rin quickly catches up with him. Rin thinks that Fudo will be defeated and forced to accept their rules like other boys. But Fudo is much more powerful than she thinks. Fudo is a formidable martial artist who transferred to the Private Aichi Academy because he caused a serious brawl at his previous school. Fudo's weapon is a pair of knife-proof gloves that he can use to fend off Rin's sword. Also, Fudo masters a magical fighting technique called the Spirit Bullet. He can shoot the power of his muscles out of the palm of his hand like a bullet, and he can win the battle by just touching his opponent. Rin is instantly defeated by Fudo with the Spirit Bullet. Just when Fudo is trying to subdue Rin, a female student attacks him from behind, causing Fudo to fall on Rin and accidentally kiss her. Shy and angry, Rin attacks Fudo with her sword again. Embarrassed, Fudo gives up fighting back and directly flees. Since Rin fails to defeat Fudo, Fudo can still live normally in school. He wants to get out of school and go shopping and playing. Kusuo tells Fudo that if he wants to go out, he must have a pass, which must be stamped by the Supreme 5 Swords. So Fudo decides to apologize to Rin for what happened before and gets her stamp first. At this time, Rin is still shy because of the accidental kiss with Fudo, and she has a crush on the powerful and handsome Fudo. Later, Fudo goes to apologize to Rin with a gift. Although Rin still looks angry, she has actually forgiven Fudo, so she agrees to stamp Fudo's pass. Suddenly, an accident happens. When Rin accidentally falls, Fudo rips her clothes in order to help her to her foot. A female student sees this and mistakes Fudo for humiliating Rin, so she sounds the alarm and summons the other girls to attack Fudo. When Fudo escapes, he is stopped by a girl who uses a whip as her weapon. She attacks Fudo with the female student from before. However, they are not powerful, and Fudo easily finds their weakness. Although the whip has a large attack range, it is not easy to handle and not easy to cooperate with other weapons. Fudo wraps the whip around another girl's weapon and takes the opportunity to knock out the 2 girls with the Spirit Bullet. Eventually, he manages to escape again. After that, Fudo still needs the other 4 members of the Supreme 5 Swords to stamp his pass. Mary, one of the Supreme 5 Swords, thinks that Rin's failure is an accident, so she challenges Fudo. Mary's weapon is a rapier. Fudo's gloves is suitable for defending against slashes, but not stabs. So at the beginning of their battle, Fudo is put at a disadvantage. He tries to prevent Mary from piercing him, and he constantly approaches her to attack her in a short distance. It requires a certain distance for Mary to pierce Fudo, but she also masters a skill in close piercing, with which she stabs Fudo in the abdomen. Luckily, Fudo hides a thick book in his abdomen, and it blocks Mary's attack. He then takes the chance to knock Mary down with the Spirit Bullet, winning the battle. Mary thinks that boys are perverted, and she thinks that Fudo will make very strange requests after winning the duel, ready to have intimate interactions with him. But Fudo doesn't want to do so, and he just wants Mary to stamp the pass, which makes Mary feel very disappointed, so she hides the stamp in her clothes. If Fudo wants to get it, he must touch her body, but he would rather give up the stamp than touch Mary. Mary thus recognizes Fudo's character, and she stamps Fudo's pass. Besides, she is in love with Fudo, just like Rin. They start to follow him, accompanying him at any time. This makes Warabi, one of the Supreme 5 Swords, very angry. She thinks Rin and Mary have betrayed them, so she decides to challenge Fudo, Rin, and Mary in front of all the students. Warabi first wounds Fudo's friend, Kusuo, to anger Fudo so that he will accept her challenge. Instead of directly letting Fudo fight her, Warabi takes another form of challenge. She holds a special sports day, and if Fudo can win the games, he will be able to get the stamp of Warabi. Warabi does not attend the games in person, and she sends several of her subordinates to compete on her behalf. Fudo, Rin, and Mary form a team to participate in the games. The first game is Sumo, which is a wrestling sport that originated in Japan. Fudo, as the representative of the team, is the first to participate, and his opponent turns out to be a bear, which is Warabi's pet and has great force. Thus, it has a great advantage in Sumo. But Fudo is not afraid, believing that his skills can compensate for the disadvantage in terms of force. Fudo is very agile and the bear can't hit him. He then attacks the bear with the spirit bullet, but the bear is so strong that the spirit bullet can't cause enough damage to it. Fudo can't directly defeat the bear with the spirit bullet, but he just needs to make the bear lose its balance and fall. But the bear is so heavy that Fudo fails to make it fall. At this time, Fudo discovers that the bear's belt isn't tied firmly. According to the rules of sumo, people whose belts fall are also considered as losers. So Fudo unbuckles the bear's belt and wins the game through this rule. Warabi is shocked and angry, and she doesn't expect Fudo to be so powerful. Warabi thinks that they will also lose in other games, so she directly announces that the winner is Fudo. But Fudo must come to her to get the prize in person. In fact, Warabi's real purpose is to defeat Fudo before he can get his prize. Warabi broadcasts to the whole school on the rooftop of the school building, asking Fudo to come to the rooftop to get the stamp. But the school building is filled with Warabi's subordinates, who will do their best to prevent Fudo from going to the rooftop. Besides, the process of Fudo getting to the rooftop will be live streamed, and Warabi wants everyone to witness Fudo's failure. Warabi has subordinates who support her, and so do Rin and Mary. After their subordinates enter the school building, they fight Warabi's subordinates. So Fudo, Rin, and Mary can go directly to the rooftop to duel Warabi. Warabi's pet bear is guarding the rooftop. At the same time, the strongest of Warabi's subordinates are also defending near the rooftop. After deliberating, they decide that Fudo fights Bear and Rin fights Warabi, while Mary heads to stop Warabi's subordinates. At the beginning of their battle, Fudo is put at a disadvantage because he is inferior to the bear in force. Luckily, the bear's attacks don't have any tricks, so the bear can't cause effective damage to Fudo. Fudo knows that the bear's weak point is its nose, so he finds an opportunity to hit its nose hard and wins the battle. At the same time, Mary also defeats Warabi's subordinates. Now only Rin's and Mary's battles haven't decided the winner. In the final round of the fight, Rin shows more determination than Mary. She and Mary attack at the same time, but Rin doesn't try to dodge Mary's attack, so her attack hits Mary faster. Eventually, the battle ends with a victory for only the Fudo side, and Fudo wins 3 stamps. The whole school watched the live stream of this battle. Fudo managed to defeat the bear, which impresses all the girls. Most girls fall in love with the powerful Fudo, causing Rin and Mary to be very jealous. They begin to monitor Fudo's words and actions to prevent him from falling in love with other girls. It isn't until Fudo returns to the dormitory that they stop monitoring him. One day, after dinner, Fudo suddenly feels very tired and falls asleep. The next day, Rin finds a photo in the pocket of Fudo's clothes, and the photo shows that Fudo had intimate interactions with a girl. Fudo doesn't remember it at all, but no matter how he explains it, Rin and Mary don't believe it. They firmly believe that Fudo is a playboy, without any other choice. Fudo can only escape, intending to ask the girl about the photo. The beautiful girl in the photo is named Satori, who is also one of the Supreme 5 Swords. Warabi knows that Satori is a strange girl, and she is willing to believe that Fudo has been wronged, so she decides to help Fudo investigate the matter. They arrive at Satori's dormitory, but while looking for clues, they are discovered by Satori's subordinate, the masked girl, who is good at using a special weapon. She fires tiny anesthetic arrows and shoots Warabi. Later, Satori also comes, with no clothes on. Satori is a girl with a strange mind. Sometimes she acts like an alien, and she completely disobeys human rules. Satori wants Fudo to fight her with all his might, so she secretly anesthetized him and took an intimate photo of her and Fudo. Satori says that she has other photos that can prove his innocence, but if he wants these photos, he has to defeat her. For the battle, she even does not wear any clothes because she knows it will distract Fudo. Soon after, Fudo and Satori head to the bathhouse to have a fight, while Warabi and the masked girl fight in place. After Warabi is shot by the anesthetic arrow, she gradually loses consciousness, and the battle becomes tough for her. To stay awake, she even stabs her thigh with a knife. The masked girl keeps defending herself, intending to wait for the time when Warabi is completely anesthetized. Once again, Warabi cuts herself to stay awake, and she finally defeats the masked girl before the anesthesia is fully effective. Meanwhile, Fudo is fighting Satori, and he is indeed distracted by Satori, so at the beginning, he is put at a disadvantage. Soon, he thinks of a way to deal with it. That is, he also takes off his clothes to fight. Although Satori says it won't affect her at all, she obviously acts much more slowly. Even though she deliberately acts like a weirdo, deep down, she is still a simple girl. When facing boys who are not wearing clothes, she also feels shy. In the end, Fudo defeats Satori in this way, winning the battle. As agreed, Satori tells Rin and Mary the truth. They no longer misunderstand Fudo and are sorry that they have wronged Fudo. In order to apologize to Fudo, Rin is willing to unconditionally obey Fudo's order for once. Instead of giving a strange order, Fudo just asks Rin to take off her mask. He thinks that Rin is actually a very beautiful girl and should show her charm more. But Rin doesn't think so. It turns out that when Rin was a child, her father cheated on her mother, and they finally divorced. Since then, Rin has lived with her mother. Since Rin resembles her father, Rin's mother scolds her for being ugly and makes her live in a mask all year round. Because of this, Rin still puts on a mask even after she grows up, and she thinks she is very ugly. Fudo firmly tells Rin that she is beautiful. Hearing this, Rin is very happy and touched, but she is used to wearing a mask, and it still takes more time for her to get used to a life without a mask. In the future, Rin may continue to wear a mask, but her attitude is changed. Mary also wants to apologize to Fudo, but she uses a very straightforward method. She directly takes off her clothes, saying that she is willing to have intimate interactions with Fudo, who accepts her apology but doesn't have close physical contact with her, because he is very tired now after the battle, and he only wants to go back to his dormitory and sleep. Fudo defeats 4 of the Supreme 5 swords in a row and finally catches the attention of the strongest girl at the private Aichi Academy. She is named Kurukuru, also known as the Empress. Kurukuru defeated the Supreme 5 swords when she just entered school, but she keeps a low profile and rarely interacts with people. In order to bring out all of Fudo's strength, Kurukuru begins attacking the members of the Supreme 5 swords. The first person to be attacked by her is Satori. After Kurukuru underwent terrifying training, her skin is as hard as steel. Satori cannot cause damage to Kurukuru, but Kurukuru's fingers can stab Satori like a knife. The second person to fight Kurukuru is Warabi. Warabi knows that Kurukuru is very powerful, so she takes her pet bear to fight together, but they are still defeated in an instant. Meanwhile, Fudo is challenging the last person in the Supreme 5 Swords, Sukuyo, who is the youngest girl in the Supreme 5 Swords but is also the strongest. Sukuyo attacks so fast that Fudo can't have time to defend himself, but she doesn't hit Fudo, and she just shows him her strength. Sukuyo is blind and her hearing is excellent, so she can move like a normal person. She is very talented and is a swordsmanship genius. Fortunately, Sukuyo is a gentle girl, and she doesn't want to defeat Fudo. Instead, she wants to be friends with him. If they become friends, she is willing to put one last stamp on the pass. Fudo does not immediately befriend Sukuyo because he discovers that Kurukuru is fighting on the rooftop. In fact, before Fudo transferred to the private Aichi Academy, Fudo and Kurukuru had fought, and he knows that Kurukuru is very cruel. So when he discovers that Kurukuru is also studying at the private Aichi Academy, he rushes to stop her. When he arrives, Kurukuru has left. She injured Satori, Warabi, and their subordinates, causing Fudo to be very angry. The angrier Fudo is, the more excited Kurukuru will be. Immediately afterwards, Kurukuru finds Rin and Mary. She fights both of them and successfully defeats them. Kurukuru does not use any weapons because her body is harder than the weapons. Any swordsman who wields a weapon will have a hard time defeating Kurukuru, including the mighty Sukuyo. To stop Kurukuru from hurting other students, Sukuyo joins the battle. She moves very fast and slashes Kurukuru 3 times in an instant, but her attacks cause no harm to Kurukuru. What's worse, Kurukuru breaks Sukuyo's sword and injures her. Just when Kurukuru is about to cause severe damage to Sukuyo, Fudo arrives and saves her. Once upon a time, Fudo and Kurukuru were good friends. At that time, Kurukuru was very arrogant and she was not willing to be friends with anyone weaker than her. Before Fudo appeared, she had no friends. After Fudo and Kurukuru became friends, Kurukuru showed morbid possessiveness. She didn't want to see Fudo befriend others, so she wounded Fudo's friends. Angry, Fudo fought her but was finally defeated. Later, they were both expelled from school for fighting, and they happened to transfer to the private Aichi Academy together. Fudo knows that Kurukuru is powerful, so he hides a book in his abdomen to block her attacks. However, this can only be used once, and Fudo still needs to try hard to defeat Kurukuru. Kurukuru's skin becomes very hard after the training, but Fudo's spirit bullet can pass directly through her skin, injuring her muscles and internal organs. In this way, Kurukuru loses her advantage in battles. After Kurukuru and Fudo's last fight, Kurukuru recognizes Fudo's strength and falls in love with him. But Fudo clearly doesn't like her, so she decides to kill him if she can't get his love. Faced with the mighty Kurukuru, Fudo is not afraid. He decides to resist her attacks with his body, and still fights back even though he is injured. With this method, Fudo gradually gains the upper hand. Fudo has better physical strength and a stronger body, and it is more beneficial for him to fight for a long time. In the end, he successfully defeats Kurukuru. Sukuyo believes that although Fudo can defeat Kurukuru, he still has a lot to improve in terms of his fighting skills. So she asks Fudo to be her apprentice, and she will help him become stronger and give him the last stamp. Fudo agrees to her request, but after that, the president of the private Aichi Academy appears. She has been looking for an opportunity to get Fudo and Kurukuru to drop out of school because they can defeat the Supreme Five Swords, which is not good for school management. This time, the duel between Kurukuru and Fudo becomes the reason for expelling the two. Fudo calmly accepts the punishment, and after saying goodbye to the Supreme Five Swords, he is about to leave the school. Despite the battles between them, Fudo still becomes friends with them after getting along with them. He is unwilling to say goodbye, but he has no other choice. Before the withdrawal formality is completed, Fudo is still a student at the private Aichi Academy. According to school rules, he cannot leave the school, but this time he already gets 5 stamps on his pass, so he successfully leaves. At this point, Kurukuru has completed her withdrawal formality and is about to transfer to another school. Fudo arrives at the airport to say goodbye to her. They are enemies as well as friends. Before leaving, Kurukuru kisses him and expresses her love to him for the last time. Later, he returns to the private Aichi Academy to finish his withdrawal formality. Rin and Mary come outside the school to greet him, and they tell him the good news that because many students interceded for him, the principal decides to withdraw the order to expel him, and now he can continue his studies at the private Aichi Academy. But to prevent him from breaking the school rules again, the Supreme Five Swords will monitor him more strictly. Fudo is very happy. Now he can live a happy campus life with his friends. That brings the end of Armed Girls Machiavellism. This is a very special anime. The private Aichi Academy where the main characters attend is more like a battlefield, and only the powerful ones can live well there. This setting is very interesting, and it is revealed in the title. Machiavellism is a political theory with the central principle that rulers should consolidate their position with violence. This story is created based on this theory, so the students at the private Aichi Academy need to gain power through combats. Of course, the story is just fiction. In reality, we should advocate peace and oppose violence, and only in this way can the world be better. In the end, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'll make more excellent anime recaps afterward. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.